So for all those, when this person is going from this position to this position, right, they're flexing, they're extending those particular joints, right? So this is hyper extending at the shoulder right here. She's flexing at the elbow. She's flexing at the arm, flexing again at the elbow. She's flexing her wrist and her fingers on both sides. Here her back is, I guess, extended. And then her hip on this side is flexed, and so is her knee. And then on this side, it's extended, and so is at the knee as well, right? So all these movements are flexion, extension happening all at once, right? And then if this muscle, well, let's just go back here, right? So these are when we're talking about the muscles that are causing these are going to be the relative terms we use to describe for any particular action at a joint. So for any of those, because muscle only create a pulling force, if you want to flex, you have to have muscles spanning this side of the joint that's going to pull these two bones up toward here, right, around this joint, and that's going to produce that flexion. You go in the opposite direction, you need a muscle spanning the opposite side. That's going to produce the opposite movement, extension, right? Only pulls. So for these functional roles, right, you'll see this flexion at the elbow right here. You'll see the biceps, these two biceps, your brachialis, these are all going to flex the elbow right here. These are all, well, they're not all prime movers, but they're all causing flexion at the elbow here. The prime mover is probably your brachialis or your biceps brachii. And so if I say the biceps is your prime mover, that it's the main one doing the flexion at the elbow. That's the action. That's what it's doing at the elbow, right? But notice your triceps brachii is going to be extend at the elbow right here. So this is the agonist, right? And then your triceps over here is the antagonist. Yesterday I gave the analogy, if this was Harry Potter over here, this is Voldemort. Or who's that other Slytherin kid? You know, all right, it's Voldemort. So you have an agonist and you have an antagonist. The hero of flexion at the elbow and an anti-hero, right? So when we're talking about that flexion of the elbow, then the antagonist is the triceps right here. And when the agonist, the biceps in this case that they're showing, is being contracted, then your triceps, the antagonist, is being stretched, right? There's always that opposite movement. And again, if you want to work out, get bigger biceps, you're going to do these flexion movements right here. And if you want to stretch your triceps, you're going to do the same movement right here, right? You could think of it that way as well. So that's for flexion at the elbow. But if we're talking about extension, those roles are going to reverse, right? So here is flexion at the elbow. Here's Harry Potter. Here's Voldemort, right, for flexion at the elbow. However, if the book was written by the Slytherin house, then all of a sudden Voldemort is the antagonist, the hero, and Harry Potter's the villain, right? These guys switch around right here. Make sense? These are the functional roles. And these are the big ones here, right? And so for your neck flexion of the neck, your sternocleidomastoid, and your abs are these opposing pairs right there, right? Antagonist. For lateral flexion, where you're going this way, that way, lateral flexion to the right would be your right sternocleidomastoid, and your left one would be the antagonist, right? And again, this is for flexion of the elbow. There's also the synergist, right? This is helping basically your agonist right here. So this is Ron Weasley over here, right? Your brachialis. Some muscles aren't in a great position when you're starting to make a movement, so these might help assist. So your synergist can add power or assist. It could also initiate movement for the agonist. And there's also a whole bunch of what are called fixator muscles, a special role of synergist, that are working to stabilize certain bones, especially your scapula. It's sitting, it's not attached. Its only attachment to the skeleton is right here at the clavicle. It's basically held up in a sea of meat over here, right? So all these are fixator muscles, your anterior, your serratus anterior, your rhomboids, your levitator scapula, all these are kind of fixing it in place. So that's another role for fixators. And so for all these, the roles are applying for muscles at a single action, right? Posterior side over here, your biceps, femoris, your hamstrings, and your quads right here, right? This is a person running right now. This leg over here, his leg is hyperextended, his knee is flexed, right? So your hamstrings are contracting on the back of your leg to do that hyperextension movement, and also the flexed knee, and they're the agonists, right? But on the other side, your quads are working as antagonists. If you look at this leg, those roles are going to reverse, right?